Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is DLPOV, and welcome back to another week of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Diamond is Unbreakable, the anime. So, before I get into the common overview that I tend to do, I just want to give like a quick mention about the update on the opening. It looks cleaner, it looks more complete. That's the word that I'm looking for. Adding echoes behind Koichi when he does his little pose. Echoes the stand takes up more space than I thought he was to take, and it feels like that image feels more complete, more. It looks nicer, and having him also imprinted like in on the wall where Okuyasu's the hand eventually like splits apart in two. Just having him there imprinted like he imprints the words with his powers, having that like added on to that little moment. I really like it, really like it. I like what they're doing with Koichi in the anime so far. Now let's get into the overview of this episode. Surface. The Before the opening, we actually start off with just a little introduction of this guy, possibly an otaku, maybe just like this guy who adores idols, and he's just looking at this girl on the computer, and all of a sudden he just grabs his pen and his pencil and just like click, and well, you see blood dripping off. Then we get the opening, of course, to which we transition to Tamami talking to Josuke and Koichi, which begs, like, makes me want to ask, like, where is Okuyasu? Like, I know he wasn't in the manga in this part. Like, I read this in the manga, but like coming from last week in the ending where Tamami is like being like kissing ass with Koichi in front of Yosuke and Okuyasu, it felt like a little bit like this was going to transition from that point on. But no Okuyasu. This entire episode, by the way. Okay, Tamami speaks to Josuke and Koichi about a possibility of another stand user within the school. He gives them a photo of this guy whose name is Hazamada, and he explains the situation about him and a friend, Hazamada and a friend, having a discussion, and then from one day to the other, like all of a sudden, his friend, like he popped his own eye out, and he didn't know why or how, which is the reason why Tamami also spoke about Hasamada, because there is a possibility that this guy that Hasamada used to stand to get to where he to do what he wanted. So Josuke and Koichi decide to look for this guy within the school. They look in the class. He's in his classroom. He's not there. They look in his locker, and when Josuke opens up the locker, he sees like this wooden puppet. The moment he touches it, like the wooden puppet starts to transform into a duplication of Josuke, which was pretty cool. I like how they handled that animation. I love how identical almost they look, aside from the little screw on the top, in the forehead. And this is where the locker room fight scene occurs. And this is one of my favorite parts of the entire episode, to be honest, because it shows this is a good introduction to a villain's stance, a villain's power, and the forward thinking that Josuke and Koichi have to do, because we learn a few things about this stance. The stance name in the subtitles is called Show Off, but we know, like, if you heard it and if you read like the labeling on the stand, his name is Surface. Um, and there's this interesting thing because the stance concept is like he's basically a wooden puppet, right? But he's not the actual puppet in the situation with the person that he copies. He's actually the puppeteer. So whatever the puppet wants to do, like the person who got locked into this trap does as well, which is an interesting concept in general. I really like this. Um, and this Hasamada guy seems to have an affection for popping eyes out, because when Josuke tries to throw a pencil at the puppet. The puppet catches it. He makes Josuke grab the one of these little fuckers, a mechanical pencil, makes him grab it again, and he puts it up there so that he's about to pop his own eye out again, just like he did with his friend. So I'm guessing it's some kind of fetish or that this Hasamada has. Josuke then, and this is a little bit of a forward thinking situation where like the puppet first makes that Josuke like quickly punch Koichi who's standing next to him like right through the locker room door, and then as he's going to stab him, Koichi, because he's still, because basically when Josuke elbowed Koichi, he also used Crazy Diamond to heal Koichi back at the same time, and Koichi used his stand, Echoes, to imprint somehow, because it must have gone really fast somehow, and the puppet and Hasamada must not have seen the stand, but somehow managed to imprint a squish sound on the puppet's face. So when Josuke is pushing the pencil in his eye, he falls down pretending that he popped his eye out. The puppet and Hasamada say like, "All right, we're done." They fuck off, but it was just the sound that echoed towards Hasamada and the puppet to make it sound like Josuke popped his own eye out. During the fight, we get informed that apparently, just like Red Hot Chili Pepper informed us, people are aware of Jotaro and Star Platinum and his time-stopping ability. The Hasamada informs us there's a group of them apparently that want to get rid of Jotaro for some reason, and they want to like not kill him but scare him away. So from here on out, after Hasamada and Surface leave, we get this little transition to this random girl who's looking at Koichi and she's blushing, maybe someone who has a crush on him, some shit like that. It's just, I just want to bring that up quickly for you anime only viewers. May have some importance towards the future. Then we transition to Josuke, who's calling up Jotaro. He wants to tell him about this stand user and like that the fact that the stand user is probably going after him. Let me see what we got here. So Jotaro. So Josuke calls Jotaro up, and that's something that I typed down right here because it's worth noting. Like, I'm guessing the only explanation that I can get right now is I'm guessing that people, because they know about Jotaro, they're probably also well informed and they know how to contact him. Because for me, it was a little bit coincidental that that the puppet called Jotaro just as Josuke was calling Jotaro, and there might be some explanation as to like maybe it was just like the puppet copying him a little bit faster. I don't know, but it felt too coincidental, this little part. So Josuke understand like shit, this guy is calling him up. He's probably gonna meet up with him somewhere. And then we transition to a little part that I loved, this little extra part. It was also in the manga, and that was just like all these girls like giving the Josuke puppet like the attention, like all of them like saying hi Josuke, and like one of them blushing and giving him like a love letter, and Hasamada getting pissed the fuck off, just like, why the fuck did you accept this, and like tearing the letter apart. That was pretty good. I like that. Then Hasamada dirties some bikers bike up, and biker starts making fun of him. Then the puppet fucks those two bikers up. He grabs one, and Hasamada's like has a blade on it, on like holding it up against his mouth, like wanna know how I got these scars, that kind of shit. And then Josuke throws a little piece of glass to the puppet. The puppet grabs it, defending Hasamada, and then that was like that's really cool, interesting battle strategy where Josuke didn't throw the piece of glass for nothing, is because Crazy Diamond was gonna put the bottle back to its original state, breaking off the wooden hand. So he can't use that hand. If anyone sees it, they're gonna know like that's not the real Josuke, because like a real human being would be bleeding unless that shit was properly medically healed. Then we get informed that like listen, like they gotta race to Jotaro right now. So what Josuke and Koichi end up doing is like, well, Hasamada and the puppet, they decide to take a shortcut, so obviously they have a little bit of an advantage. And plus, you got to keep in mind that Josuke cannot be too close to the puppet, otherwise he's going to get manipulated. So they have to find a way around, but at the same time, a faster way to reach Jotaro before these guys do. And this is where, again, the whole battle plan with stands gets really interesting. And that is when Josuke tells like, hey Koichi, like we can pull some interesting shit off with your stand. And that is, there's this rail track that that they can cross, that they have to cross to meet Jotaro. However, because there is this bell sound going on, Hasamada and the puppet, they think like shit, like this road is going to be closed off, let's go around by going over the bridge. And as they're going over the bridge, they see Josuke and Koichi running through the train tracks. I'm like, what the fuck? Well, like, excuse me, why didn't the train pass? Why didn't the road close? And that is because Koichi used echoes to make that ring noise and confuse Hasamada and the puppet. So that was some really cool stuff. What ends up happening is just Josuke and Koichi explain the situation to Jotaro. And this is this really cool moment where I don't know how logic it actually is or how much sense it actually makes, but the puppet is basically playing Josuke's mirror reflection. The puppet hides in the store, and he uses his reflection basically to confuse Josuke to not seeing him. And he grabs a pen and he's about to backstab Jotaro. And the bikers that Hasamada fucked up come in and they beat Hasamada unconsciously. They explain that Josuke, because he was there when the attack happened with the biker dudes, Josuke used Crazy Diamond to heal them back, and like they're like, oh, he's such a nice guy, and they start fucking Hasamada up. And because Hasamada loses the puppet surface no longer has any use. Crazy Diamond breaks the puppet apart, which is my little plot hole-ish reason, which is, again, this goes again with the Angelo thing of, if Angelo's body got mixed with the stone, with the rock, right? So technically, and there was some bullshit explanation about his soul still being in the rock, but yes, his stand couldn't work for some fucking reason. So I don't get it. His stand was a little bit more automatic, right? So he should be able to control it automatically. So I don't understand how that does. They can no longer work together. On top of that, we got the explanation in part 3, I believe, that if you do anything to a stand, shouldn't the stand user also be affected? So when Josuke basically tore the puppet apart, shouldn't he have technically murdered Hasamada? I don't understand that part, I'll be honest with you. Otherwise, it was an interesting resolve. We get towards the end of the episode, Red Hot Chili Pepper, the stand, still like looking over to Hasamada's fucked up body, and Hasamada's still alive, by the way, but Red Hot Chili Peppers looking at the fucked up body. He says, oh, that's unfortunate, and that's kind of like where the episode ends. Now, the animation, let's go to the 3 points that I tend to talk about each episode: animation, the pacing, and the value to the overall plot. The animation, first of all, was kind of like 85%. There were some still shots, some moments that didn't look as detailed. They will probably be updated in the Blu-ray. If not, they were a little bit less detailed than what I'm used to seeing within this series so far. They pay a lot of respect for the manga still. Everything is still well done. The pacing, fast-paced. Again, this battle felt, in my opinion, in the manga a little bit dragged out. That's how a lot of these fights felt for me, and seeing them just animated gives so much more to them, and especially seeing them animated within an episode. We get a ton of shit within 23 minutes. The value to the overall plot, well, that's a little bit hard to say. We get confirmation on two things, and that is Josuke's Crazy Diamond's range. We get that cleared out again. We heard about it either 2 episodes ago with Keisho when he speaks about Josuke's range, and we get a little bit more confirmation here where Crazy Diamond tries to punch Surface, but he can't quite reach him, and Surface points it out basically that Josuke only has a certain range that he cannot pass. The second confirmation that we get is also the fact that there are some villains over here in Morio that know about Jotaro, know about the stand, know about how fucked up and overpowered that shit is, and they're trying to drive him out of the city. So, but overall, I like this episode. I wasn't too crazy of a fan of either Koichi or Hasamada. I enjoyed this episode a lot more. Koichi's easily becoming one of my more favorite characters in this series so far. No one's gonna be Jotaro, Josuke, or Okuyasu, but he's up there with a certain character that will get introduced later. Now, I want to go into some spoilery topics, so if you are an anime only viewer, please stop the video right now. Thank you for watching. Hit that like button, comment down below what you thought about this episode, subscribe, and thank you for watching. Otherwise, I'll give you 3 seconds to get out of this spoiler part. 1, 2, 3, full-on spoilers from now on. Okay, so I already posed a question: where is Okuyasu? No explanation about that. I just don't know why he wasn't written in here. It was already mentioned that Okuyasu was going to the same school, so I don't see why he just couldn't be added. I just like Okuyasu so much. I want to see him more. The next thing I want to talk about is just when Josuke is going through the locker of Hasamada, and he starts throwing shit out. Like, one of the books you'll see a book of Heaven's Door, which is like a little callback to Rohan because he's a manga artist, and I like that, a little bit of the detail. I don't think it was in the manga. I didn't really quite catch it if it was. Next up, we got Yukako making her first appearance in the actual series. Pretty interesting to see how her storyline is gonna go, because I remember reading it in a manga, kind of enjoying it, and it did remind me of that movie. I don't know if it was a book first or but it reminded me of that movie of that writer who goes into a car accident, and then he gets rescued by this lady who happens to be her a huge fan of his, and he kind of traps him and forces him to write another book. That storyline reminds me of the one that Yukako is involved with, so I'm curious to see how it's going to be handled in the anime, seeing how JoJo's Bizarre Adventure in general has some dark themes to them. Next up, a little thing that I want to talk about, a little detail, and that is the moment when Tamami and Josuke and Koichi are talking, and Tamami leaves. You get an expanded view of their school and Morio, and I think in the towards the back you see the electric tower, and that could be the reference to what's the stand called? Shit, I forgot, but the stand user whose stand is basically just an electric tower. It could be that one, maybe. And the last little detail that I want to talk about in this, and I just love how Morio is this small town. So when the characters are traveling, you'll see sometimes recognizable areas. That is when Jotaro is going from the Grand Morio Hotel, and he's going to meet up with Josuke and Koichi. I think when he's in the car, you see some open fields around that area, and that is going to be the area where the storyline comes in place of the sniper rats. So yeah, that is all regarding those little hints and bits regarding the next upcoming characters or locations that I wanted to talk about. Thank you for watching. Thank you for making it so far. My name is DLPOV. If you like these overviews, please hit the like button. Comment down below what you liked most about this episode. Subscribe, like, comment, all that bullshit. I'll be doing these every week. We're still getting hyped on Jojo's Bizarre Adventure. Diamond is Unbreakable. They're doing an amazing job keeping up with the quality of this series, and I am loving every second of it. Have a good week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.